Today, we are diving into one of the most incredible stories ever told, the Mahabharata. Now, this isn't just some dusty old tale about kings and gods. Nope. This is a massive, sprawling epic that's really about us, our ambitions, our deepest flaws, and our constant struggle between right and wrong. It's a guide to being human. And the best way to understand it is to start right at the climax, the Great War of Kurukshetra. Just imagine an 18-day conflict so brutal, so all-consuming, that it wipes out an entire generation. Looking at this devastation, you have to ask the question that hangs over the entire story. How in the world did it ever come to this?
Well, here's the crazy part. This massive, world-changing war involving millions of soldiers wasn't between two different countries or empires. At its heart, it was just a family feud, a bitter, tragic fight between brothers.
So let's meet the players. On one side, you have the Pandavas, 5 brothers, pretty much known for being the good guys. And on the other side, their 100 cousins, the Kauravas. See, they were all princes, all with a legitimate claim to the throne of their kingdom, Hastinapura. And that one throne is what would eventually tear their entire world apart.
The real problem wasn't politics, it was personal. It all boiled down to one thing: jealousy. Duryodhana, the leader of the Kauravas, just couldn't handle how much everyone loved and respected his cousins. And this toxic envy was basically enabled by his own father, the king, whose blind love for his son made him ignore every single red flag, leading the whole kingdom straight into disaster.
So, how does a little family jealousy explode into an all-out war? Well, it all hinges on one single catastrophic event: a rigged game of dice that would become the point of no return.
And the guy pulling all the strings? That would be Shakuni, Duryodhana's uncle. This guy was a master manipulator. He saw his nephew's jealousy and came up with a truly wicked plan. He invites the Pandavas for a friendly little game of dice. The catch? Shakuni's dice were loaded. This was never a game. It was an ambush designed to completely destroy and humiliate them.
And boy, did it work. The eldest Pandava, Yudhishthira, felt bound by honor to accept the invitation. And then he just kept losing. First his kingdom, gone. Then all of his wealth, gone. Then, in a moment of sheer desperation, he gambled his own brothers away, making them slaves. And then, the final, unthinkable move. He wagered their wife, Draupadi, and lost her too.
What happens next is one of the most brutal scenes in all of world literature. Draupadi is dragged into the middle of the royal court and publicly shamed. And as all the so-called wise elders and brave kings just sit there in silence, too cowardly to intervene, she screams out a question. What kind of justice allows this? That question just hangs in the air, exposing how morally corrupt everyone had become and lighting a fire for revenge that only a war could put out.
After that public horror show, the Pandavas and Draupadi are banished for 13 years. But that exile wasn't an end. It was a promise. The humiliation was so deep, the injustice so great, that war was no longer a possibility. It was now an inevitability.
But here's the thing. If you think the Mahabharata is just about one big physical war, you're missing the whole point. The epic's deepest wisdom is that the most important battles we fight, well, they don't involve any weapons at all.
And to get that, you have to understand this one huge concept: dharma. Now, it's often translated as duty or religion, but it's way bigger than that. Think of dharma as the moral fabric of the universe. It's about doing the right thing, about justice, about your own sacred path. And pretty much every single character in this story is struggling with theirs.
What's so brilliant is how this story frames these struggles. It doesn't just see them as moral dilemmas, it sees them as actual battles. Battles of patience, of wisdom, of self-control. These internal fights often take way more courage than facing an enemy on the battlefield.
I mean, just think about it. You've got Yudhishthira fighting a daily battle of patience, trying not to lash out. You have Draupadi fighting for justice with nothing but her words in a room full of powerful men. You've got advisors fighting battles of wisdom, trying to speak truth to power. Even the great warrior Bhishmas fighting a lifelong battle of sacrifice.
And this idea is captured perfectly in one single moment.
Right before the war, the divine Krishna offers a choice. Duryodhana, blinded by his ego, immediately chooses Krishna's huge, powerful army, raw physical strength. But Arjuna, the Pandava hero, makes a different choice. He chooses Krishna himself, unarmed, to act only as his advisor and charioteer. That one choice, material power versus divine wisdom, tells you everything you need to know about how this war is going to end.
Okay, so let's get to the tragic end. After 13 years are up, the Pandavas come back and ask for their kingdom, or at least their fair half. But Duryodhana refuses, saying he won't give them enough land to fit on the tip of a needle. And just like that, war was the only path left. The scale of what came next it's almost impossible to wrap your head around. 18 massive army divisions gathered on the field of Kurukshetra. The Kauravas had 11, the Pandavas had 7. And for 18 solid days, the greatest warriors on earth just annihilated each other.
In the end, the Pandavas did win. But you have to ask, what did they really win? The cost was staggering. Almost everyone was dead. They won a throne, but they were left standing all alone in a kingdom of ghosts, having lost their sons, their teachers, their friends, and family.
And this quote from the victorious King Yudhishthira just says it all. There was no party, no celebration, just silence and grief. The victory felt like a crushing defeat, because in the fight for their kingdom, they'd lost everything that actually made it worth ruling.
So this all leads us to the biggest question of all, right? Why are we still talking about this story thousands of years later? Why does it still matter?
I mean, really, what can a story about chariots and magical weapons teach us about our lives today? The answer, honestly, is everything. Because when you strip it all away, the Mahabharata isn't about gods and warriors. It's about people. It's about us.
Each character is basically a timeless lesson in human nature. King Dhritarashtra shows us how destructive a parent's blind love can be. The hero Karna shows us how keeping bad company can poison even a good person. The young warrior Abhimanyu is a tragic warning about the dangers of having only half knowledge. And of course, Shakuni is the ultimate symbol of a toxic influence. If you could boil this entire gigantic epic down to just one single idea, it would be this: never, ever turn your back on Dharma, on what's right. Not for desire, not because you're scared, not because you're greedy, not even to save your own life. Because things like joy and sorrow, they come and go. But Dharma, that is eternal.
And I want to leave you with this final, really bold claim from the author of the epic, Veda Vyasa. He basically says that every possible human experience is in this story. And if you can't find it in here, well, then it doesn't exist anywhere else. It's an incredible claim that the Mahabharata isn't just a story. It's the story of everything.